What if I also told you the very device you use and swear by as a means of connection, productivity, and news is slowly robbing you of your capacity to reflect deeply, create freely, and live fully? Consider this. You wake up one morning, and your first instinct before your feet get a hold of the ground has your hands automatically reaching out for your phone. A score of messages welcome you. You have got mails from office, messages from friends pending, news update messages, and social network feed messages. You haven't yet breathed your first clean morning air, and already you are flooded with information and noise. We are a world of always on. We are an age that puts connection above all. The fastest respondent of email messages appears reliable. The one with their feed always updated looks busy. The one replying night messages and returning at hours of the night looks passionate. However, behind this facade of productivity lies a crueler one we all dread to admit. Constant connection doesn't make us more productive, it makes us more distracted. Our brains were designed with a finite capacity and are unable to process an endless stream of vibration. Alert and electronic ping. Each time a notification grabs your attention, you are paying a neuroscientist's switching cost. Your brain requires a few minutes before you are back on track with what you were initially supposed to do. Contemplate that. When you glance at your phone, you are not just costing yourself seconds, you are costing yourself depth. You are costing yourself momentum. Your capacity to think with coherence becomes dissociated. And this is ironic. We often confuse this hyper-responsiveness with productivity. We tell ourselves, I'm productive because I'm busy. Busyness and productivity are not the same thing. Busyness is frenetic, superficial, and fragmented. Productivity is calm, intentional, and focused. These are antonyms, and yet we have become so used to the always-on culture that we have blended the difference so thoroughly that many people no longer feel what true focus feels like. I would like you to ask yourself one question. How long has it been since you have sat through an entire hour with no phone checking, no inbox refreshing, no social feed scanning? For the typical person, the answer is chilling. We are inevitably ripped from the present moment. Even as we sit back to get some important work done, a subtle vibration at our hip or a blinking LED at our screen jerks us out of a state of flow. The sad part is we have made this acceptable. We have become accustomed to distraction as the norm of life. There's a dark price to this lifestyle. What we pay isn't fatigue or stress-killing deep work. Deep work is the kind of attention that gets scientists through hard problems. Artists create masterpieces of art, and entrepreneurs forge world-changing ideas. Deep work requires immersion, undistracted thinking, and freedom of mind to wander into the unknown. How are we going to get into deep work with attention divided into 1,000 threads? How are we going to hope creativity takes hold with each frozen moment interrupted by a screen? Reality check? The culture of always-on doesn't exist. It makes us feel special while it drains us. It creates an illusion of a push of momentum, while it removes from momentum one of the only things it needs: ongoing attention. It's like you were jumping onto a treadmill, beads of sweat forming, pulses racing, legs churning, but stuck right back where you began. Your input is high and your output is nil. Worse still, constant stimulus numbs our ability to rest. Have you experienced how hard it is simply to sit silently and refrain from reaching for your phone? Most of us are ill at ease with stillness. We crave distraction because we've learned quiet translates to bored, and bored translates to time wasted. But boredom is not an enemy. Boredom actually is the soil out of which imagination springs from. It's during the quiet, unscheduled moments that the mind has room to grow, wander, connect dots. It could not amidst external stimuli. Look at the great thinkers of the past. These were not people stuck staring at screens, waiting through notifications. These were individuals who treasured quiet. These were individuals who savored quiet contemplation. Nikola Tesla sat immobile for hours with his mind rumbling through unmapped ideas. Virginia Woolf emphasized the importance of a room of one's own as a necessary condition for imagination. Even Steve Jobs credited long walks and silence as key parts of his process of imagination. These men and women understood something we have forgotten. Attention isn't born of constant connection, it's born of conscious disconnection. But the problem is this: our society encourages the reverse. In offices, employees are expected to respond immediately to emails or face accusation of being obstructionist. On social networks, individuals worry about missing out if they do not post once a day. Family and friends demand speedy responses regardless of the inconvenience. And what do we get? A society that celebrates distraction and penalizes attention. But we intuitively know what's wrong. We feel it as we close our laptops at night and realize we worked for hours but accomplished no good. We feel it as we scroll through social media and wonder why we still feel empty. We feel it as we try to concentrate, and our mind wanders off like leaves carried off by the wind. This is the cost of the always-on illusion. Good news is that awareness precedes. When you are conscious of the illusion of what it is, you regain your power. You realize you don't need to be accessible each and every minute of the day. You realize that urgency is fabricated and frequently false. You realize that true value is not about answering fastest, but contemplating deeper. That's why mindful disconnection matters. It's not rejecting technology, it's declining to become a slave of it. It's making intentions about when and how you connect. As opposed to allowing algorithms and notifications make those intentions for you. Mindful disconnection is the antidote of ceaseless connections. Turmoil. It's the practice of protecting your attention in a world that thrives off of stealing it. And this is the liberating truth. You can break out of the always-on haze. You can reclaim your attention, boundaries, and a purposeful life, where attention is an ordinary practice and a common state of mind. It won't be easy because distraction is addictive. But the returns clear mind and spirit, imagination, and inner calm are greater than any dopamine high of a notification. This is just the beginning of the process. In the following section, we will discover what science has learned about the value of downtime, and why your brain requires breaks as much as you do to perform at an optimum level. Because once you learn how your mind performs best, you will understand downtime isn't a privilege, it's a necessity. Brain science of breaks. If the first lie of the modern world is that always-on connection adds up to productivity, the second one is that non-stop work adds up to success. Everyone claims longer hours, less sleep, and working ceaselessly, but neuroscience has a radical insight. Rest isn't the enemy of advance, it's the catalyst. In your brain, there exists a network of regions scientists call the default mode network. When you are not actively involved with a task as such, daydreaming, thinking back, or at rest, you can behold the system spring into action. Here's a natural question you may have at first. Why should it appear productive at all? If you are not actively involved, are you not merely passing time? Far from it. Your default mode network is where your best original ideas are formed. It's at one of those quiet intermissions, taking a walk through nature, or while you are showering or in bed, that your mind has already begun linking ideas of things you didn't realize were related. It's out of those moments of disconnection that innovations are born. Think back on some of history's biggest breakthroughs. Archimedes' famous Eureka moment wasn't from a lab experiment, but from a bath. Einstein's theory of relativity came from daydreaming idly about what it would be like to travel at the same speed as a beam of light. J.K. Rowling got the subject of Harry Potter during a delay aboard a certain train. These intuitions didn't occur while one was frenetically multitasking. They happened while one was resting. Your brain is a muscle. Your body needs rest after physical activities. Your mind also needs rest after rigorous thinking. If you don't, mental fatigue sets in, creativity runs out, productivity declines. It's like trying an endless sprint of a marathon. Somewhere along the line, your system breaks down. But the tragedy is this: our culture stigmatizes rest. Resting people are lazy or apathetic. Students are culpable for staring at textbooks. Employees worry that their bosses will view them as uncommitted. Entrepreneurs boast of sleeping for hours a night as if fatigue is a status. Science has a decidedly different message. Real high performance requires bursts of attention and disengagement. It requires conscious breaks. Make this tangible. Assume you are stuck with a tricky problem. You sit and stare at it with increasing frustration. No solution. Eventually, you get upset and head out the door for a walk. And lo and behold, halfway down the street, the solution appears in your head. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. Your subconscious mind doesn't shut off once your conscious mind has cleared out. By tuning out, you are allowing deeper regions of your brain to rise into prominence. Ignoring natural cycles is destructive. Burnout, anxiety, and physical illness are the outcomes of chronic work overload. But as you practice cycles of intense work and rest, you learn to operate with the natural rhythm of the human brain. Your problem focusing accelerates. Ideas flow with greater ease. You feel revitalized rather than depleted. Try this analogy on for size. You would no more hesitate a minute while driving through the desert before you pull over and get gasoline, because you did not want to waste time. Absolutely not. Without gasoline, you are out of fuel. In the same way, your brain needs fuel stops. If you don't receive fuel stops, your march towards creative work and deeper work comes to a complete standstill. And that's why mindful disconnection can no longer be a privilege, no, a priority. Disconnection creates space for your default mode network to do its magic, for your subconscious mind to synthesize, connect, innovate, for it to transform silence from emptiness into a palette of creation. So the question isn't whether or not you should rest. The question becomes whether you will rest intentionally with a strategy and with a measure of awareness. Because then, and only then, you transform rest from sinful indulgence to ultimate productivity aid. In the following section, we will discuss how to do just that, how to cultivate mindful disconnection in practical day-to-day terms. Because understanding the science is one thing, yet one's practice changes at the point of applying it. Mindful disconnection and practical steps. Having ripped apart the false promises of constant connection and endless work, and having grasped the neuroscience of rest, comes a question of implementation. How do we actually cultivate mindful disconnection in a world engineered to keep us hooked? To begin with, you realize that attentional disconnection isn't about rejecting technology. It's not about throwing your phone into the depths of the ocean or deleting every single app. It's about reclaiming control. It's about making choices about how and when you connect, as opposed to living at the mercy of notifications. Try framing it as training your world to respect your attention. Among the good practices you can try is establishing digital detox windows. Start small. It may be the hour you wake up early or the hour before bedtime. During that time, no screens, no email, no browsing. Replace that window with grounding activities, journaling, meditation, stretching, or a simple moment of silence. Practicing this small ritual makes your brain understand you are the master and not your devices. Yet another method is building focus zones into your day. These are windows of time during which you actively mute notifications, close tabs you don't require, and eliminate distractions. 90 minutes of steady attention often results in more substantial work during a day of divided attention. For those focus zones, your attention should be considered sacred. Guard it tenaciously. Then, use analog alternatives. Everything doesn't require a screen. Note your ideas in a notebook. Sketch your ideas onto a page, read a book. These small adjustments not only reduce digital fatigue, but also work your brain in a different manner and strengthen imagination and memory. Also, set tech boundaries with others. Make your colleagues aware of your availability and unavailability. Schedule email check-ins at specific times of the day and not checking your email throughout the day. Make your boundaries clear. At first, people will resist, but with time, they will respect your consistency. And first of all, learn to sit still. Being unplugged from gadgets is part of disconnection. Reconnecting with oneself is the other. Take a walk with no headset. Sit still with no distraction. Rest your mind. At first, you may get uncomfortable, agitated. But once you get into it, you tap into the richness that lies within stillness. Remember this: every time you pull back, you aren't slipping out of productivity, you are getting back into it. Every time you say no and create boundaries, you aren't being selfish. You aren't being selfish, you are protecting the very resource that makes you valuable in the first place. Mindful disconnection isn't about doing less, it's about establishing the terms of your best work and best life. Regaining attention and life eventually, this has nothing to do with work. It has everything to do with life. Because attention isn't a productivity technique, you are your attention. What you attend to, you become. What you attend to, you are. Think about it. If your mind is always distracted by notifications, bottomless feeds, and empty talk, what becomes of your life? Your life becomes fragmented, superficial, reactive. But if you bring your attention to real work, real relationships, and quiet breaks, your life becomes clear-focused, intentional, and substantial. When you practice mindful disconnection, you're making a great decision to live intention ally as opposed to reactively, to be rooted in presence as opposed to carried off by distraction. To build a life where attention isn't torn from you by this device or that one, but awarded the things that truly count. Imagine standing before a loved one and giving your undivided attention. No sneaking a peek at your phone, no half hearing, but complete presence. Imagine creating work that is an extension of your best self because you have given it your undistracted attention. Imagine completing each day not drained from distractions, but with a sense of direction, peace, and clarity. It is possible. It begins with one action: mindfully disengage. To break free of the always-on illusion, to honor the cycles of your mind, to protect your attention as the valuable resource that it is. And my challenge to you is this: today, produce 1 minute of conscious disconnection. Put the phone down, close the laptop, sit with your own mind. It feels small, and it has the power to transform, because at that point, you are reclaiming your life from the confines of distraction. And as you practice this, day after day, not once or from time to time, but every day, you will gain a deeper level of clarity and creativity and presence. And you will realize that connection isn't about you losing anything, it's about you gaining everything that really counts. Your attention is your life. Protect it, control it, and use it to build a life you want.